Hello, BookTube. I've got a tiny bit of mail here, an intentionally small sample size in order to see if I can control myself this time. On an absolutely gorgeous Friday, it's just lovely and mild outside. I think that a large amount of rain is in the forecast for next week, but it's not here now. So the day's been wonderful for impromptu little walks with my baby bee, including one this afternoon or this morning that was. That's such a funny moment. We were just walking along, the two of us walking along. She stays about a foot in front of my shin, which is not as long as her leash. So there's just a loose leash between us. She keeps an equidistant, unless something is attracting her attention that she wants to run to, then the leash will snap taut. But otherwise, she just bustles along right equidistant with me. And I know that it's going to break my heart when that distance shortens as she gets slower until finally she's walking next to me. I know that's going to break my heart, but I'm hoping that's years from now. But we were walking along a sidewalk, along a hedge. It was about at my shoulder level. And I could see, and she could smell, that there was a woman walking a dog along the hedge on the other side. So we were going to meet at a right angle, right at a street corner, where the hedge turns at a right angle. And sure enough, as we got close to the angle, the woman it was a perfect timing. We were going to meet exactly at the angle. And we were getting close to the corner, so was she. And when we were both equidistant to the corner, easily within sight of each other, the two little dogs, she was walking a dog about Freeda's size, the two little dogs could see each other. When we were right about there, right out of the hedge, right here, came a squirrel. The squirrel just sauntered out of the hedge right between us, just tra-la-la-la-la, and then froze because it saw, okay, in front of me there's a street, that's bad, streets are bad, but on the one side is a rat terrier, and on the other side is a rat terrier. Oh no, what do I do? The squirrel just theatrically froze, like, ooh. Now, any of you who are listening, especially you young listeners, what is the obvious answer to that question? You go back into the hedge. You go back into the hedge. But squirrels aren't all that bright. No offense to those of you who have them as pets. They're not all that bright. They don't ever, the ones that I've seen, never think about the clear path out of a path of danger. Instead, this one just froze. Just stood there. And finally just sort of darted off into the street. It was a little side street and a little suburban hill, so there was never any danger of traffic. The little thing overcame its impulse about running out into streets in order to get away from this worst possible situation imaginable, which is that you stroll out of the bush and you've got two dogs, one on either side of you, that are entirely genetically built to kill you. The other little dog seemed like a Timmer's little sweetheart. But Freeda knows exactly what to do, and she wasn't timorous at all. The only thing that could distract her from reading the riot act to another dog is prey. And here she was walking along the sidewalk, and prey walked out right in front of her. If she hadn't been on that leash, that squirrel would be dead. Because she doesn't hesitate. And in addition to killing prey, my little baby, she also has the disconcerting habit of desecrating their corpses. I'm not going to stop her because it's pure instinct for her. And it gives her a large part of her current personality. But she doesn't just kill. Once she's killed the thing, she then thrashes around its dead body. She's not eating. She won't eat these things, but she does want to sort of pulverize them. And so it just barely didn't happen. And then once the squirrel disappeared under a car on the other side of the road, then she turned her attention to reading the riot act to the other dog. So a hilarious little moment. But we have a tiny bit of mail here that I have calved off from the pile, and we're going to see if we can get through this without an angry rant. And I think I know the key. Books I can sort of handle. I've learned how to handle books. It's the periodicals that are the problem. The periodical yesterday was the problem. And today's periodical is the New York Review of Books. One of the greatest book reviews, or the greatest book review organs out there, and I'm not even going to look at what's in here. I haven't touched it. It just came hot off the presses. I'm not even going to look at it so that it does not outrage me. I will save my outrage for another venue at another time. So instead, we'll just do two packages, and we'll try to get through them in a timely fashion without me needing to delete the video. That would be great. I don't want to delete the video. There are only 2 books. You statisticians could tell me what the odds are. All right, well, no, this is not going to be a failed experiment. We are going to get through this. This is a book that comes out in September. It is by Will Tosh, and it is called, we're going to get through this. It's called Straight Acting, The Hidden Queer Lives of William Shakespeare. There's no pub sheet for this thing, so we are just going to read the back cover like what will be on the dust jacket in your bookstore. This is called A Dazzling Portrait of Shakespeare as a Young Artist, revealing how his rich and complex queer life informed the plays and poems we treasure today. Let's just keep going. Was Shakespeare gay? For years, the question has sent experts and fans into a tailspin of confusion. But as scholar Will Tosh argues, this debate misses the point. Sex, intimacy, and identity in Elizabethan England were infinitely more complex and queer than we have been taught. Let's just keep going. In this incisive biography, if this is a biography, I am the czar of all the freaking Russias. Anyway, in this incisive biography, Tosh reveals William Shakespeare as a queer artist who drew on his society's nuanced understanding of gender and sexuality to create some of English literature's richest works. Elizabethan society had a nuanced understanding of gender and sexuality. During Shakespeare's time, same-sex desire was repressed and punished by the church and the state. Maybe they punished it with nuance. But it was also articulated and sustained by institutions across England. Let's just keep going. Moving through the queer spaces of Shakespeare's life, his Stratford schoolroom, we don't know that he ever went to school in Stratford, smoky London taverns and playhouses. You don't have any idea what happened in those taverns. The royal court. Tosh shows how strongly Shakespeare's early work was influenced by the queer culture of the time. There was no queer culture of the time, let alone the huge portmanteau of Twitter absolute garbage that you mean when you say queer instead of gay. Sorry. Let's just keep going. We stopped at the queer culture of the time. You know all the pride parades that went on in London, right, in 1570. Much of it totally integrated into mainstream society. Yes, absolutely. All those gay couples adopting little babies from the West Indies is a common thing. I think Ben Jonson wrote 10 plays about it. He also uncovers the surprising reason why Shakespeare veered away from his early work's gender-bending homoeroticism. Offering a subversive sketch of Elizabethan England. Subversive. That's one word. Yep. That's one word. This book uncovers Shakespeare as one of history's great queer artists and completely reshapes the way we understand the bard's life and times. Okay. Since we've had the worst, we might as well read the author's biography. Unusual for an advanced copy, we actually have a picture. The author, looking very serious. Let's read his biography. This comes out in September. It will be a $30 hardcover. Will Tosh is head of research at Shakespeare's Globe in London, where he serves as spokesperson for Shakespeare studies in print and on broadcast media. He was educated at the University of Oxford and Queen Mary University of London. He's the author of 2 previous books and lives in London. Okay, we did it. We got through this. I think I have a hernia, but I am going to save this mail haul if it kills me. I'm going to save this mail haul if it kills me. So we are going, now you know, there's a Shakespeare book coming out in the fall about the queer culture of Elizabethan London. Not the gay culture, the queer culture of Elizabethan London. Now we'll move on to the box. I picked 2 things. I picked an envelope and a box, thinking, surely that's possible. Surely that will not cause a 45-minute rant that makes the video unusable, that makes the video deletable. So let's move on to the paperback. There's a paperback and because there are 2 paperbacks. One came in a box, one came in an envelope. This next one is looks like natural history. So this comes out in October, much later. This is by Sonke Johnson, and it's called Into the Great Wide Ocean: Life in the Least Known Habitat on Earth. I have no sheet for this, but I imagine there'll be a description. Yes, there is. Okay. Let's see here. The open ocean, far from shore and miles above the seafloor, is a vast and formidable habitat that is home to the most abundant life on our planet. From giant squid and jellyfish to anglerfish with bioluminescent lures that draw prey into their toothy mouths. This book takes readers inside the peculiar world of the seagoing scientists who are providing tantalizing new insights into how the animals of the open ocean solve the problems of their existence. The author vividly describes how life in the water column of the open ocean contends with a host of environmental challenges such as gravity, movement, the absence of light, pressure that could crush a truck, catching food while not becoming food, finding a mate, raising young, and forming communities. He interweaves stories about the joys and hardships of the scientists who explore this beautiful and mysterious realm, which is under threat from human activity and rapidly changing before our eyes. This book presents the sea and its inhabitants as you have never seen them before, and reminds us that the rules of survival in the open ocean, though they may seem strange to us, are the primary rules of life on Earth. Okay, that sounds fairly interesting. I'm a little bit confused about where we're talking about here. Far from shore and miles above the sea floor. Okay, so we're talking about. I assume this book is talking about just the exactly what it says: the wide open ocean, where there isn't anything but ocean. And there are creatures that live huge percentage, 95, 98% of their lives in what amounts to the open air. There's no topography. There are no places to hide. It's all just one gigantic sensorium. That would be very interesting. I'm not sure. We've gone over this before. A lot of these books overdo the part about the quirky lives of the scientists. A lot of these authors, they spend time with these scientists in order to research their book, and then they overestimate how interesting that time is to people who aren't there. So often it's a struggle with books like this to see if the author is going to hold those things in a good balance. It could happen. Well, let's find out about the author. Professor of biology at Duke University. Okay. The author of The Optics of Life, A Biologist's Guide to Light in Nature. That's going to be crucially important in a book like this. Okay, that's all we learn about Sonke Johnson. We also learn about Marlon Peterson, who created original illustrations for this book and is an illustrator and muralist who teaches and illustrates in many styles and media. Okay, so I wonder if this is an advanced copy, so it might not have the illustration. Oh, it does have the illustration. Oh, and they're quite good. Okay, so you're getting, and there's a lot of them too. You're getting a lot of illustrations all throughout here. No way to know. There's a pelagic octopus. No way to know from this advanced copy. I mean, the finished copy doesn't come out until October, so there's no way to know if there'll be any color, or if these things will be in color. They're quite nice, and they're all throughout the book. It's not like there's an inset in the middle. for illustrations. They're all throughout. That's great. Okay, great. Into the Great Wide Ocean. Fantastic. So these both come out in the autumn. Into the Great Wide Ocean and Straight Acting. And we will leave it at that. They are both nominally nonfiction. I have a suspicion that one of them is mostly fiction, but they're both nominally nonfiction, and they both come out in the autumn. So now you know about them, right? Oceanographic study and a study of Shakespeare. So that is the mail. That plus the New York Review of Books, which I had to avoid even glancing at in order to get through this. And I, even then, only barely got through it. Now, does this portend rough times next week? Is the mail hall now under some kind of curse? We went through that once upon a time last year, and it was pretty bad. But we did it. Maybe not. Maybe I've broken the curse because we got through this. So I'm going to wrap this up before it gets any worse, and I will be back. Thank you, BookTube.